They always said I was the responsible one, the one who had it together, the one who could be counted on. Maybe that's why they didn't think twice about using my credit card, without asking, to fund my brother's luxury soul-searching trip through Southeast Asia. When I saw the $85,000, 0 cents charge on my account, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at the screen and froze the card. And that's when his fantasy vacation turned into a very real nightmare with customs agents, hotel locks, and no way out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm Callie Morgan. I'm 30, a data analyst based just outside Chicago. I'm not flashy. I live in a modest 2-bedroom condo that I worked my butt off to afford. I've spent the last decade clawing my way to financial stability. Night classes, part-time jobs, unpaid internships. Every dollar I've saved, every point on my credit score. I've always been the fixer in my family, the calm one, the one who bails everyone out. And for years, I thought that was a good thing, that being dependable meant being loved. But I've learned that when you never say no, people stop asking. My younger brother Tyler is 26. He's charming in the way trust fund kids are charming, casual, carefree, convinced the world owes them a yacht and a sunset. He's the kind of person who calls taking 6 months off to find himself a brave choice. As if it's not just reckless entitlement dressed up in yoga pants. In the morning everything fell apart. I was sitting in my kitchen with my usual black coffee, scrolling through my bank app before work. It's a routine, just a quick check to keep everything on track. Most mornings it's boring, a grocery run, a subscription, maybe a Venmo transfer. But this morning, I saw a number I couldn't process. $85,000. Gone. Charged to my credit card. At first, I thought it had to be fraud. No way was this real. I clicked through the statement, heart racing. Flights, hotels, luxury dining. I saw cities I'd never even visited. Singapore, Bali, Tokyo, 5-star everything. And then, something clicked. A name I'd seen on the statement, River North Journeys, a boutique travel planner in Chicago. My brother had mentioned them once, over brunch, of course, said they curated life-altering getaways. I thought he was dreaming out loud. I didn't realize he was booking with my card. I called my parents. My dad picked up. His voice was calm, like we were chatting about the weather. That's when I knew something was off. "Hey, Dad," I said carefully. "Did you use my credit card recently?" There was a pause. Not long, but long enough. "Oh yeah, sweetheart, your mom and I booked Tyler's trip. His card didn't have the limit." That's when it stopped being surreal and started being infuriating. "My card?" I said. Without asking. "We meant to tell you," he said, breezy as ever, "but everything was so hectic, and you're always so busy. We didn't want to bother you." Bother me. They thought charging $85,000, 0 cents to my card, without so much as a text, wasn't worth bothering me over. Then Mom got on the line. "Sweetheart, don't be upset," she said in that sickly sweet tone she uses when she knows she's wrong but wants to make it your fault. "It's family. We help each other. Tyler's been dreaming about this for years." Help each other. That's what they called it, help, like I volunteered, like I was in on the plan. But I wasn't. And in that moment I realized something harsh. They never saw it as stealing. They saw it as borrowing from the family bank. And I was the vault. The worst part? They weren't even sorry. Not really. My mom went on and on about how happy Tyler looked in his Instagram posts. Poolside in Santorini, Eiffel Tower views, custom spa treatments. "Martin upgraded his ticket to first class," she said with a little laugh. "A little surprise. A little surprise with my money." That's when I stopped talking. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I hung up. I needed to think. Because this wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice. A deliberate, selfish choice to spend what wasn't theirs and expect me to clean it up. Like I always do. Only this time, I wasn't cleaning anything up. I called Jordan, my best friend since college. He works in finance. Smart, level-headed, the kind of guy who still balances his checkbook. They used my card, I told him, 85 grand, without permission. He didn't say anything right away, just listened. And when I was done, he said 5 words that changed everything. That's not family, that's fraud. It hit me like a slap, because he was right. Ima think you'll just deal with it, he added. Like always. Are you going to? I looked at my phone. I opened Instagram. Tyler had just posted another picture, this one on a yacht off the coast of Greece. Caption, "Living my best life. Thanks, sis." Thanks, sis. He knew. That's when my shock hardened into resolve. No, I said. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to stop it. Jordan didn't flinch. Okay, he said. Here's what we do. We got to work right then and there. Jordan walked me through every step like we were defusing a bomb. First, I froze the card, shut it down so no more charges could go through. Then, we called the bank together to report the fraud. I explained the situation word for word, even though it still sounded absurd coming out of my mouth. My parents used my credit card without permission to fund my brother's $85,000 0 cents luxury vacation across Southeast Asia. The representative on the phone went silent for a second. Then she gasped. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't just me overreacting. This was a violation, clear as day. The bank opened an investigation immediately. Every charge was flagged. Every linked card suspended. Within minutes, the pipeline of money was cut off. No more upgrades. No more luxury suites. No more bottomless cocktails with a view of the Aegean Sea. And then came the quiet. I sat on my couch, phone in hand, just waiting. I knew what was coming next. Tyler would try to book something. Maybe a ferry to another island, maybe room service. And his card would get declined. And when that happened, he'd call me. Or rather, they all would. The first ping came less than an hour later. A video call. It was Tyler. He looked disheveled and rattled, still wearing the hotel robe, standing in what looked like the lobby of a very upscale resort. His hair was a mess, his voice was shaking. "Callie?" he said, his tone half accusation, half panic. "What did you do? My card's not working." I raised an eyebrow. "Your card?" "Yeah, the one Mom and Dad gave me. It's being declined everywhere. I can't check out of the hotel. I'm supposed to fly to Copenhagen this afternoon." "Oh," I said, calm as ever. "Weird." His eyes narrowed. "Did you do something?" I didn't answer right away. I wanted him to sit in the silence for a second, to feel the discomfort of consequences. Then I spoke. "They used my card, Tyler. $85,000 without asking me. And you flaunted it. You thanked me publicly. You knew." He ran a hand through his hair, muttering something under his breath. "It's just money, Callie. You're making such a big deal out of this." Just money, like it was pocket change, like I hadn't worked night shifts, clipped coupons, skipped vacations, and budgeted down to the dollar for years just to build that stability. "No, Tyler," I said, voice steady and sharp. "It's not just money. It's mine. Not yours, not Mom's, not Dad's. Mine. You don't get to spend it like it's a shared family Netflix account." He threw his hands up. "So what, you're going to leave me stranded? You want me to sleep on the beach or something?" "That's not my problem," I said. "You, Mom, and Dad made this decision without me. You figure it out, without me." I ended the call. Minutes later, the phone rang again. This time it was my mother. Her voice, usually dripping with false sweetness, was sharp, panicked, almost shrill. "Callie, what did you do? Tyler's stranded. His card isn't working. How could you do this to your brother?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't get emotional. I just stated the facts. "I froze the account," I said. "You spent $85,000, 0 cents of my money without asking. That's theft, and I'm not financing this trip anymore." "You can't be serious," she snapped. "It's family. We help each other." "No," I replied firmly. "Family doesn't steal, and you didn't ask. You didn't warn me. You just did it." Then my father's voice barged into the call, booming, furious. "You ungrateful brat!" he roared. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? You sabotage your brother's trip?" I closed my eyes for a moment. Sabotage. That's what they called it? Me protecting my own finances from their theft was now sabotage. "I didn't sabotage anything," I said. "I stopped you from bleeding me dry. I've reported the charges as unauthorized. The bank is investigating." Silence. The word investigation hit differently. It deflated him. I could hear it. "You wouldn't," he said, quieter now. Not angry, uncertain. "I already did," I replied. The threats came quickly after that. Legal threats, emotional guilt trips, vague warnings about cutting me off from the family. But they didn't realize something crucial. I wasn't clinging to the family. I was crawling out from under it. Over the next few days, I ignored most of their calls. I needed space. I needed clarity. And I needed legal advice. So I followed up with the lawyer Jordan helped me find. She reviewed everything. My records, the statements, the phone calls, the screenshots. Her verdict was quick and clear. "You did the right thing," she said. "Freezing the account, reporting the charges. It was the smart legal move. You are fully within your rights, and yes, you could pursue legal action if needed." Could I sue my parents? Technically, yes. But emotionally, that road was complicated, and I didn't want revenge. I wanted my life back, my peace, my control. So I stayed focused on the investigation. The bank needed documentation, and I gave them everything. Every itinerary I didn't book, every luxury hotel I never visited, every lie they told me about not wanting to bother me. It was all going into the file. Meanwhile, the rest of the family started hearing whispers. My Aunt Dana from Portland called. Her voice was cautious but kind. "Callie, is it true? They used your card? For Tyler's trip?" I told her the truth. I told her the number. I told her they never ask. And for the first time, someone in my family didn't try to twist it. "Oh my God," she said, her voice breaking. "That's not okay. I'm so sorry." That validation hit deeper than I expected. It reminded me that this wasn't normal, that I wasn't crazy or dramatic or cold-hearted for drawing a line. Word spread quickly. I'm sure my parents told their version, framing me as selfish or unstable. But $85,000, 0 cents, doesn't whisper, it shouts. And when people heard that number, they didn't hear family drama. They heard a crime. Tyler's glorious return from paradise was far from the Instagram fairy tale he had imagined. According to a friend of his who later messaged me, awkwardly trying to stay neutral, Tyler had to scramble to book last-minute flights home on borrowed money, downgrade to economy, and cut his trip short. No more private villas or yacht parties, just long layovers, canceled bookings, and a very rude awakening. My parents were furious, not just about the money being gone, but about the image, the facade. They'd spent years crafting this narrative of being a loving, successful, close-knit family. But now, everyone in our circle knew what had happened. They were embarrassed, and instead of owning what they'd done, they blamed me. I was the villain in their story, the cold daughter who humiliated them, not the one who'd been robbed, not the one who had to clean up the mess. The calls started again, angry, desperate, manipulative. "You're ruining our reputation," my mom shouted in one voicemail. "You're making us look like criminals." I played the message for Jordan. He laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was textbook deflection. "They did that themselves," I said flatly, "when they stole from me." It was around that time I received a letter. Not a text, not a call. a formal typed letter on legal stationery from a lawyer. My parents had actually retained legal counsel. Apparently, they were considering suing me for damages, for emotional distress, for freezing the account without family consent. I called my own lawyer immediately. She was unfazed. "They don't have a leg to stand on," she said. "If anything, you could sue them." But I didn't want to sue my own parents. Not unless I absolutely had to. All I wanted was for the bank to complete its investigation and acknowledge what happened. That the charges were unauthorized, that my boundaries were real, that my silence was no longer for sale. The investigation took weeks. During that time, I went quiet. I stopped answering calls. I muted their messages. The silence at first was hard. For years, my life had revolved around fixing their chaos, answering every 2 a.m. emergency, every financial shortfall, every passive-aggressive guilt trip. I didn't know who I was without that weight. But slowly, the quiet became something else. Not loneliness, peace. I went back to my routines. I reconnected with friends I'd ghosted during Tyler's last meltdown. I joined a local gym, not to get in shape for anyone, but to feel stronger in my own skin. I read books. I went to brunch without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I learned how to just be. The investigation concluded a month later. I got the call during a lunch break. The rep on the other end confirmed what I already knew. The charges were unauthorized. The bank had reviewed the documentation, the call transcripts, and my written report. I would not be held liable for the $85,000 0 cents. They were closing the fraudulent account and issuing a new card. Clean slate. Relief doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives as a breath you didn't know you were holding. I hung up the phone and sat at my desk, stunned. Not because I'd won, but because I'd been heard. Finally. The fallout was immediate. My parents, upon learning they'd been named in a fraud investigation, erupted. They called again, this time in full panic mode, voicemails full of rage, gaslighting, and empty threats. "How could you do this to your family? You've destroyed everything we built. You'll regret this." But they were wrong. I didn't regret a thing. My Aunt Dana called again, her tone more serious this time. Apparently, the story had spread even further. Other family members were talking. Some were siding with my parents. Others, quietly, were reaching out to me, sharing their own stories. Turns out, I wasn't the first person in the family to be taken advantage of. Just the first to say no. That made something in me shift. All those years I thought I was the glue keeping the family together. I was really just the one patching up a broken system. A system built on silence, guilt, and the expectation that I would never put myself first. But that changed. And it wasn't just the money. It was everything that money represented. My time, my effort, my security, my trust. I didn't just lose $85,000, 0 cents. I lost my illusion of family. And in its place I found something harder but more honest. I found clarity. I found boundaries. And I found the courage to rebuild from a place where I was no longer the one keeping score for other people's decisions. The messages eventually slowed down. Maybe they realized I was serious. Maybe they just got tired of screaming into silence. Tyler never apologized, not once. His last message to me was a half-hearted, "Hope you're happy now" text that I didn't bother responding to. But you know what? I am happy now. Not because everything is fixed. It's not. But because I stopped pretending it wasn't broken. I stopped bleeding to keep everyone else warm. If you've ever been taken for granted by the people who were supposed to love you the most, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to set boundaries that make other people uncomfortable. You are not an ATM. You are not a doormat. And love, real love, doesn't come with conditions that demand your silence. I used to think being responsible meant saying yes. Now I know it means knowing when to say no. If any part of this story hit home for you, leave a comment. Tell me about the moment you realized you were done being the reliable one everyone leaned on but never supported. And if you're still trying to find that moment, still searching for the words to say no, let this be your permission. You don't owe anyone your savings, your sanity, or your silence. Subscribe if you believe boundaries aren't betrayal, they're survival. We deserve better.